Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Diana Padilla. I am the founder and president of H.O.P.E for Small Farm Sustainability, and this is my husband, Saul Padilla. Welcome to the first H.O.P.E for Small Farm Sustainability live stream seminar. I would like to introduce our organization, H.O.P.E for Small Farm Sustainability, and give you a brief history about who we are. We are a small, nonprofit 501c3 run by local farmers and individuals who are interested in finding solutions to the local food and health issues. Our team has only a few key people: Saul Padilla, the farm trainer; Kay Pope, the project manager; Martha Slovic, owner of Rodriguez Flower Shop and also a member of the board; Salomon Torres, owner of Soluciones and our financial advisor; and myself, Diana Padilla, the founder. We provide our services mostly through donations and grant funding so that we can bring to the local community agriculture hands-on training as part of our mission to increase clean food and food access. Our services include training workshops, cooking classes, kit garden and cooking classes, health, food ideas, and information. These needed resources are generally provided for free whenever possible. Saul and I are operators of a 75-acre certified organic farm, Yahweh All Natural Farm and Garden. We grow fruits and vegetables and many other products, and we sell it here at the H.O.P.E Farmers Market. The H.O.P.E Farmers Market is located on our farm, and the market is open to the public, and through this crisis we are also open to provide fruits and vegetables Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and Mondays from 10 to 6. The market is available to any farmer who is growing organically as a resource to sell their product. We started Yahweh Farm from the ground up, and now we share our skills and our knowledge with others so that they too can start their own farming business. We believe food is medicine, and good, clean food is in short supply. Part of our mission is to help bring information, resource, equipment, and help address the obstacles and the opportunity of this growing need of organic food. Today we will have Dr. Muñiz, who's a pharmacist and the owner of the local business Crave. He will provide information on how food can play a big role and part of improving your immune system. Kay Pope will introduce Dr. Muñiz. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our first webinar. We are bringing this seminar to you through a grant from the USDA Agriculture Marketing Services. We'd like to thank them for that, giving us this opportunity. If you would like to join us and help with our mission, there is a link below on a button that says H.O.P.E Donate Here, which will take you to our website donate page and takes PayPal and credit cards. Dr. Michael Muñiz's career as a compounding pharmacist at Muñiz Rio Grande Pharmacy in Harlingen, Texas, began with his associate's degree of applied science from the Technical College Surgical Tech program, continuing on to earn his Bachelor of Science degree in biology with a minor in chemistry from the University of Texas Brownsville campus, and summing it up with his Doctor of Pharmacy degree from the Texas A&M Health Science Center, Irma Lerma Rangel College of Pharmacy. While working at the family pharmacy, he grew an interest in compounded medications and decided to continue his education by pursuing a fellowship in metabolic and nutritional medicine through the American Academy of Anti-Aging and Regenerative Medicine. Dr. Muñiz, through his fellowship training, was able to get deeper training in assisting patients with lifestyle modifications and targeting root causes for their diseases. Because of his passion and expertise, Dr. Muñiz has been invited as a guest lecturer to present to family practice residency programs, colleges of pharmacies, physician's assistance programs, and other independently owned pharmacies on the benefits of functional medicine. He is an active member in many organizations, and including he's a past board member of the Texas Pharmacy Association. In addition, he works closely with doctors to treat patients with different ailments using functional medicine. Dr. Muñiz takes great pride in working closely with patients to increase their nutritional status, oftentimes leading to a relief from their medications. Through his work of healing patients with proper nutrition, he has gained a deeper understanding to their needs, which led him to his new endeavor of a specialty food store called Crave Market, which is also located here in Harlingen, Texas. So with that, I'd like to introduce Dr. Michael Muñiz.
Well, hello to all those that are streaming this live. It's kind of different. Usually I'm used to seeing a huge audience of people. Usually whenever I get introduced, the crowd goes wild. But, this is something that's different for me. But I'm excited to be able to present all this information out there to everybody, especially going on with this COVID shelter in place that's going on all over the nation, especially here in Cameron County. I know a lot of you all are getting tired of just sitting at home and looking for something else to do. So hopefully for the next 2 hours, you'll listen, kind of understand what my whole mission is with healing people and helping people feel better. Presentation that I'm doing on is food as medicine, but I will also be really talking about how to support our immune system, especially since right now with COVID, there's a lot of other things going on that we're just trying to figure out, how do I stay healthy? Everybody's afraid to get sick, we should be doing things that the CDC says, we need to wash our hands. I work at a pharmacy, and so my staff, I tell them, wash your hands at least every hour at a minimum if you're not in contact with patients. Those are in contact with patients through our drive-through or even doing curbside. It's important to go, and every time that you're coming in and out, to wash your hands. We make an alcohol solution. I know those are very hard to find. We do have a solution that's watery, that you can put in a spray bottle and spray it on your hands and then wipe your hands from there. But it's actually better to just wash your hands with soap and, spend a couple of seconds, at least a minute or two, washing your hands and then dry them and go from there. Keeping social distancing. So everybody that's here in this room is distant from me, so it's good. Now I just try and practice that all the time, The way I like to see it, and the way a lot of us see it, is, before I went to pharmacy school, I was a surgical tech too. So everything, we just got to figure out, how do we keep it in a sterile environment? How do we prevent cross-contamination and stuff like that? So that's exactly how I like to try and treat a lot of things. It's not that I don't like being around people, because I am a hugger and I love giving handshakes and stuff like that. But a lot of times after I do that, I always wash my hands, just because I'm trying to make sure that I don't take things home with me to my family, because a lot of patients that I do deal with are sick. So when we start looking at nutrition, we start looking at immune system support, there's a lot of things that we can talk about, a lot of things that we can do. In this series that we're going to be talking with right now, I have pretty much almost 2 hours to talk. It's a little bit shorter than 2 hours, and there's a lot of information we're going to go through. So I'm going to go through a lot of the basic general understanding of stuff. Then we will go through a lot of other things that we can go to further support our bodies, right? Some of those things are like exercise and what can we do, but how do we get our body primed up now to be able to do those things? So a little story about me is I was, a very large guy. I was 300 and something pounds. What I weigh now is I weigh 230 pounds, which is pretty much what I weighed in high school. Being a pharmacist, talking about functional medicine and stuff, that's how it all came to me, saying, I had a patient who was like, you talk about a diet that's very easy and nutritionally, but you can't even do it yourself. So I didn't even know if it's correct, so I started doing myself, and I started using myself as a test patient. Started eating right, started eating healthier, and tried to figure out, it's not that hard to be able to eat things. So a lot of times at the store, I don't really eat a lot of inside the middle of the restaurant, H.E.B. or Walmart. I ate a lot of the fresh produce, the meats and stuff like that along the outside. Now, don't get me wrong, I do get some stuff in the inside, but a lot of those things are shelf-stable items that I can use. So as we're going through this, we will talk about how to help our patients, how to help you as a consumer, as a client, as a person just streaming that is interested in trying to figure out how can I improve my nutrition, how can I improve my body, my well-being, how can I be able to ward off viruses and bacterial infections and stuff like that, especially right now with all this going on. Okay, so my first slide, it just talks about food as medicine. My name is Dr. Michael Muñiz. I'm a pharmacist with Muñiz Pharmacy. I am a board member with the Texas Pharmacy Association as well. I work with a lot of different organizations within the state. I work with a lot of different legislators to be able to push nutrition out there. It's not connecting. Okay, so I work with everybody to try and get things going. Okay, so this slide also, it's this whole lecture thing is part of it's a grant with USDA. Here we're working with the H.O.P.E. farm. It's awesome working with everybody to just kind of see, well, what can we do to help people locally get locally sourced products and then eat those things. There are some products that we just cannot grow here because of changes in climate and temperature and stuff. So we have to make sure that we are able to at least get whatever we can locally or organically. And I'll talk about like pesticides and stuff. All that can actually make a huge problem in what we are consuming. Pretty much zero carb. It's all protein and all fat. Vegans, though, you're going to get a lot of the other items such as your carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. You can get proteins from plants. One of the things I can tell you that with a lot of vegans and stuff, they're not consuming enough protein. Okay, so we need a lot more protein in our diet. So a lot of patients that come into Crave Market, I will tell them, are you supplementing with enough protein? Are you consuming enough protein daily to retain muscle mass? We have an in-body analysis machine that will measure, your water, your fat mass, your lean body mass as well, and dry muscle. We have one at Crave. We have one at Muñiz Pharmacy. Training for Warriors has one, as well as my cousin Bobby, who's also a pharmacist, does a lot of nutrition as well. Orange Theory has one. All Star Nutrition, I believe, has an in-body analysis. So it's good if you're doing any kind of diet just to measure how much lean body mass you actually have, right? Lean body mass is important. The more lean body mass that you have, it will actually increase thermogenesis, which is burning of fat and stuff. And that's actually when we look at basal metabolic rate actually looks at protein. So make sure if you're doing any kind of vegan diet that you're making sure that you're measuring all of those things and making sure that you're retaining. We don't want you to become very frail. When you look at patients that are very frail, very low in structural support, a lot of times they don't have enough muscle mass. Those patients are actually prone to breaking hips and legs and femurs and stuff because they have no structural support. So it's important to make sure that you're consuming enough of those things. There's a ketogenic diet, which is the fad, the phase that everybody's talking about right now. And I do a lot of modified ketogenic. So like when I lost a lot of my weight, I did go straight, keto, higher fats, medium protein, and low amounts of carbohydrates. But in myself, in my body, I'm very insulin resistant, right? So my body will produce more insulin, and that higher insulin helps me pack on all the weight. Same thing we see with a lot of patients that are on insulin. They start giving them insulin, they start packing on the fat. We see that with patients all the time, and that's one of those things. Well, you put a patient on insulin, they're going to pack on the weight. All right, so with the ketogenic diet, we cut out the carbohydrates, no insulin, no sugar spikes, no insulin spikes. Now all of a sudden, your body's running on fat for energy instead of running on sugar for energy. And then from there, kind of switched it up. I'm still low carb, but more protein, more fats, trying to decrease my percent body fat, which is important. Atkins pretty much was a ketogenic type of diet. It's been around for years. FODMAP diet is a diet that we use in patients that have like Crohn's disease or any kind of GI issues. We try and do that to try and minimize any kind of inflammatory response in the gut. The gut is a very, very important organ that we have, and a lot of us just don't look at that. We don't think of it as the organ. We think of just our heart and our brain and our lungs as vital organs, but your gut is very, very important. It's actually, the way I like to see it is whatever is happening on your skin is pretty much happening inside your gut, okay? Your gut is what allows things inside your body to be absorbed, and those nutrients go to the liver, everything gets broken down in the liver, and then it gets pushed out. If you have a very poor gut, you have a very poor body, okay? So just think about, the clear coat on your car that's protecting you. That's exactly what should be going on in your gut. A very strong gut, it will have a really nice, clear, clean coat. Low sodium diet. So a lot of times we'll look at a low sodium diet to help lower blood pressure. So for every molecule of water, you'll have every molecule of sodium, you can actually attach 5 waters. So that's why people start getting bloated and stuff, which will increase blood pressure. Now, an important thing is when you're doing a ketogenic diet, your body will actually be excreting out about 2 grams of sodium in your urine daily. So you actually want to increase your sodium, but you also want to increase other electrolytes, which are going to be like chloride, magnesium, potassium, and your sodium. If you're not taking any of those, you're not taking any kind of supplement, you're going to become very fatigued. You're going to become hypovolemic. Your blood volume is going to go down. So we want to make sure that we're increasing all of those things. Think about consuming water. If you drink too much water, it can be very bad for you, right? It messes up with the osmolarity and everything in your body. So we actually want to make sure that you're consuming electrolytes, because those electrolytes are going to help keep everything isotonic, right? So a lot of people right now with this COVID, I know here in the valley, everybody was grabbing all the water that they could grab, right? Then they had to start putting limits on it. You can only buy 4, then you can only buy 1, and you can only buy whatever. But everybody's buying all this water, but the thing is everybody's like, okay, everything can be contaminated, we need to do this, it needs to be bottled water, which is great. I like to see that a lot of people are drinking water, and there's a lot of other issues with water, which we can talk about a little bit later. But one of the biggest things is, are you supplementing any kind of electrolytes with what you're taking, right? So that's one thing that I would tell you is go to the store, look for some electrolytes that you can pour inside your bottle of water, drink that, so that way it's like drinking an IV hydration. When you start looking at a lot of patients that are sick, the first thing you do when you get to the hospital, one of the first things you do is start an IV on you, so that way you can be properly hydrated. When you get a patient that's properly hydrated, now to help to respond to treatments and stuff much better, okay? Low potassium, that's gonna be in patients that are on dialysis, and we're always looking at potassium levels. We're also looking at potassium binders when we need to, because all of a sudden they should show up with very high potassium. And we do that because that's been shown to be detrimental to the health of the patient as well. All right. So next thing we'll talk about is immune system support. Since, in the Valley Morning Star, there was a nice little article about how to boost immune support, and Kate Holt, who introduced me, did a nice little spill on me about what we like to do. And everybody's asking me. I think I get probably about, I would say 3 to 4 calls a day, and then I get messages on my phone. Everybody's asking, hey, what do I need to do for my immune support, right? How do I help boost the immune system? Everybody's like, I went to the store, there's no more emergency. I've been taking emergency and I'm not seeing things. There's some people that do some crazy things, like that couple that was in Arizona, I believe, that tried to treat themselves prophylactically, or even just with some treatment with an aquarium cleaner, which was chloroquine, and ended up passing away. And I think the wife is still in the hospital or something like that, which is very sad. A lot of those drugs, those products can actually kill you, just like anything. But we need to make sure that we're doing it under the care of a medical professional, okay? And we have those things in tablet form at the pharmacy. I know a lot of times there's people like, well, I can't get it, and then calling in and seeing a telemedicine doctor, and they're prescribing this stuff. And the State Board of Pharmacy in Texas, put restrictions on those certain medications. Now that we're requiring diagnosis and we can't do more than a 14-day supply, so that way there is no shortages here for those patients. So we need to boost our immune system. So what do? Number one, first thing you need is vitamin C. And vitamin C comes in very different forms. You can find it in the stores and the supplement shelves under vitamin C. You'll find it under ascorbic acid. And a lot of it is just, the salt form. Where are you getting it from? And the dosing, there's been a research article that was put out from China that they were actually giving patients IV infusions of vitamin C to actually help them with their infections of COVID, and actually seeing some good results. Vitamin C is not a prescription medication. You can buy it over the counter, so it's good to boost immune system in your body. The other thing too is vitamin D. A lot of patients to the north, a lot of times because the way the sun hits, they're not getting enough vitamin D. Myself as a pharmacist that works from 8 to 4, I miss the good sun of the day. So it's hard for me to be able to make sure my body's getting that conversion. The darker your skin color as well will also lower the amount of vitamin D that your body has. Your body, the UV rays, everything has to penetrate deeper inside to make those conversions happen. So if you're somebody that likes to be covered up all the time and not really outside, your vitamin D level is more likely they're going to be very low. At one of my trainings with A4M, I remember one of the presenters talked about vitamin D levels, saying, to get your best conversion of vitamin D is to go out at noon, strip down completely naked, and wait until your body starts turning color. Once it starts turning color, you have enough vitamin D for the day. Now, we're not going to do that because then the police will come and get us for indecent exposure and stuff like that, so we'll stay away from a lot of those things. But vitamin D is very, very important for immune system support, okay? Now, too much vitamin D can be bad, right? But even then, those levels of vitamin D to be very bad for patients, you're talking about, I think there's one case report, the patient had a vitamin D level of 250, which most of the time is about 30 to 60, and we're good from there. All right, so a lot of my patients will say, well, the doctor said I'm okay, their vitamin D level is a 30, but there's more and more research coming out. We don't have a definitive number saying this number is the best thing out there, but above 30 is good. For heart health, above 50. So if you have cardiovascular issues, you want to make sure you boost it up. And even for patients that have cancer and everything, to boost your immune system a little bit higher. There's more and more research coming out, but I just say as long as you have it above 30, you're good. If it's below 30, make sure you're taking some kind of supplementation. Vitamin D is one of those fat-soluble items, so it is going to absorb very quickly, but you want to make sure you take it with some food. Same thing with vitamin C. Sometimes it can upset the stomach, so most of the time I tell my patients, when you're eating a meal, that's when I want you to take your supplements. Vitamin E is also a fat-soluble item, and it's a really good antioxidant, okay? Antioxidants actually help clean out your body, help actually remove a lot of the inflammatory responses. It's really good for heart health as well. So for patients, when we're starting to look at heart health, we're trying to make sure that they are consuming enough vitamin E. We'll give that to them. Now, there's a lot of mixed tocopherols. Alpha tocopherol is one of the biggest things that's out there on the market. Tocotrienols is another type of vitamin E. Those are some of the better ones to take for heart health. So overall, just make sure you're taking some kind of vitamin E to support your immune system. Now, vitamin B6 is one of those big ones that we really don't talk a lot about. A lot of doctors don't talk a lot about, but it's very, very important. It does help with your immune system. It's needed for I think it's 100 and something different chemical processes in your body. One of the biggest things about vitamin B6 also is that you need it to be able to produce neurotransmitters. One of the biggest neurotransmitters that I talk with a lot of my patients on is serotonin. So a lot of the patients will come in and they're experiencing issues of fatigue or their depression and stuff. And so we're like, okay, well, sometimes if you have anxiety, depression, a lot of times this is women that are entering in that menopausal phase, that perimenopausal. We are trying to make sure that they're consuming enough B6. B6, good for immune response, and it's very good for combating depression. B12 is by far one of the best things for boosting energy in your body. helps things keep going. There's different types of B12 out there. Most of the tablets you're going to find are going to be cyanocobalamin. That's going to be the cheapest stuff out there on the market. Some patients, they do very well. Now, I'll tell you, with B12, think of cyanocobalamin. The cobalamin part is the most important part, right? That's the piece that's going to make the best effect in our body, right? The cyano part does nothing. And so a lot of times when they use that and how they make it, it's actually potassium cyanide, or it's just cyanide, and that's bad stuff, right? It can actually kill us, right? So your body actually has to break those two things apart, and then your body actually in the liver has to break up and package that cyano to get rid of it because it's toxic to the cells. So there's other ones on the market. There's a methylcobalamin that's out there. Now, if you're over-methylating, that's not a good choice to have. So the only way to really look at those things is look genetic testing, be working with a functional medicine doctor, and just try and figure out, okay, does it make my symptoms worse, better? How do I get those things going on? There's other forms of B12. There's a hydroxycobalamin that you can use as well. A lot of times you can find that in an injection form. That B12 will actually help you get rid of methionine and stuff. And so it's good. And those are things that we want to make sure that we're looking at constantly. And that patients are actually getting the full benefit of their B12, because B12 will give you a boost in energy. You have patients that say, well, when I took my B12, didn't change my diet and everything else, and I've lost, 10 pounds in the last week or the last month, right? It's like, wow, that's crazy. That's awesome. Now, where's the research, right? How do we get this going to actually be looking at it more? But just overall, B12 is good. Now, B12 is another one that actually helps support your immune system, B9. And so B9 is actually your folic acid, right? So the folic acid is very, very important for, formation of blood cells. A lot of times when people have anemias and stuff like that, they're like, well, what's your folate level like? How do we increase that? And then the other thing too is if you have a person that's a poor methylator and you give them folic acid, they're not going to make the proper folate that they need. And so getting actual folate, not folic acid, is going to be your better bet, okay? One of the last things is zinc. Zinc is an amazing, amazing, amazing supplement to use. Now, there's a problem with zinc. You overconsume zinc, and you're going to have a lot of issues. It actually works in reverse, so now it actually hurts your immune system. So you want to make sure that you do take zinc, right, to help boost your immune system, but don't overtake it. In excess, a lot of things are bad for you. Water in excess will kill you, okay? Supplements in excess will hurt you. So make sure you work with somebody that actually understands supplements to make sure that you're being put on the right spot. So zinc displaces copper. Copper is very beneficial to the body. You don't have enough, you can have a lot of issues. So if we're going higher with zinc, we're going to replace the copper. But if you don't work with somebody that actually knows what they're doing, you're just going to hurt yourself. Again, please, please, please. Zinc, out of all these supplements, I'll tell you, make sure that you are working with somebody that knows it.
We have one question around vitamin D, and the question is 20 minutes of sun exposure usually adequate for vitamin D?
Vitamin D?
Vitamin D production.
So 20 minutes of exposure of vitamin D sometimes can be enough, right? It just depends on the color of your skin, right? The darker your skin, a lot of times that's not going to be enough. I know, like one of my daughters is very light complected, and she goes out into the sun within 20, 30 minutes, yeah, she's already turning red. Same thing as my son. He's very light, fair skin as well. Goes out there, it's going to turn very quickly. So yes, it just all depends, but it's going to be dependent on the patient. If your skin is darker, it's going to take a little bit longer. The way I like to see it is I'm already toasty. It takes me a little bit longer to get more toastier, okay? All right, foods to boost the immune system. So, it's great to take supplements, right? But at the same time too, if we can do it the natural way, that's the best way. If I can actually get my supplements from my food, that's actually what I would rather do. I don't want people to go out and just say, okay, well, Dr. Muñiz said, if I take this pack of supplements right here, I'm going to do amazing things. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying sometimes we need to supplement on top of what we're already doing, sometimes. If you are a vegan, right, and you are not eating animal products, a lot of times you're going to become deficient in B12. Not all the time, most of the time. So those patients are actually having issues with anemias and stuff like that. So a lot of vegans will supplement with a vegan B12 supplement to actually get the B12 that they're needing, right? Because most B12 is actually made, or we get it from protein, and it's beef protein or animal protein, right? And so what actually happens is you consume beef, your body breaks it down, you chew it up, you start swallowing it, the gastric juices get going, and it separates the cobalamin from the proteins, and then it goes into your gut, and then you take you have intrinsic factor that attaches to it, and that's what actually helps absorb it into the body. And so a lot of times, in order to get those B12s, you have to have all those things happening. Vegans are not consuming that beef protein, and they're having some of those issues, right? So just supplement it. Same thing too with a lot of people that are doing carnivore. A lot of times, sometimes they're deficient in some products, and a lot of it has to be this: they are not consuming the whole animal. They're not going from nose to tail. A lot of people are just eating the brisket, which is my favorite part to eat from the animal, or even like a ribeye and stuff. But I'm not eating the liver. I'm not eating the brains. Monkey brains on one time was pretty good, but no, that was just in a movie. But there's different things that you can do, right? And so when you look at those things, that's where you're getting a lot of those nutrients, right? You can get a lot of B vitamins from liver. So like my grandmother lived to be at 90-something years old, and she used to eat liver almost every single day. That was her favorite thing. And you get a lot of nutrients from there. She never had issues with anemia or anything like that. So there's different things that we can look at. And so supplements are good. They're just not the end-all deal, saying if I do this, I'm going to live to be 100 years old. No. All right. So foods to boost your immune system. Very first thing we should talk about is citrus fruits, right? So citrus fruits are going to have very, very high levels of vitamin C, okay? Vitamin C has been shown to boost your immune system, and it supports various cellular functions in your body, okay? So when people say, man, you know what? I love eating citrus. Yes, citrus is fine, but over-consuming some citrus can be bad. So if you're a person that says, I'm going to eat 10 oranges a day, well, the vitamin C content that you're getting is great. What's not great is the sugar that you're getting from there that's actually boosting up your sugar levels. Then it's going to make you become diabetic in the long run, right? The other thing too is sometimes I'll see patients and they'll say, oh man, I go, do you eat 10 to 12 servings of fruits and vegetables every day? And they're like, yes, I do. I'm like, okay, awesome. What are you eating? Oh, well, I have, in the morning, I'll eat some strawberries, I'll eat some blueberries, and then I'll have a banana, then I'll have an apple, then I'll have an orange, and then I'll eat, some French fries, because French fries to people, that's a vegetable, okay? And it's easy to have. Then I'm having, some more strawberries later, and then some more apples later, and then I'll have this and that, and then, I drink my apple juice. Okay, out of all of those things, the only thing I could see that's a vegetable is a potato, right? And even then, that potato is not the best vegetable to eat. But there's nothing else in there. There's no substance, right? And so we actually have to change those things, right? But citrus fruits are important because we're going to get that vitamin C, which actually is going to help us with our immune function, okay? So in here on this slide also, I put the different types of vitamin C content in different citrus fruits. So grapefruit, pink and red, have 34.5 milligrams in half a fruit. So I know a lot of people eat a whole grapefruit, and a lot of people go to that farm on the west side of Harlingen. What's the name of that place? Granny Claire's, right? Or something like that? Yes. And they'll go and they'll buy a whole tray of grapefruit. And that's okay, right? And they're getting it and they're eating it. They're getting some good vitamin C in there. And a lot of times you're not going to get a lot of sugar in grapefruit unless you're adding the sugar on top, what a lot of people do, or they'll add the salt on top. But grapefruit is very good. Oranges, look at that, has 51.1 milligrams in one small orange of vitamin C. So you eat one small orange a day, you're more than likely going to get a lot of your vitamin C that you need from that orange. Now, when we start looking at supplements and people consuming things, we're talking about 500 to 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. So if you're getting 51 milligrams in an orange, and that's a small orange, you're gonna have to eat 10 of those to get that 500. So the sugar content in there is gonna be a lot higher. And so we need to make sure that we do supplement a little bit, but the most things that we can get, because there's more than just vitamin C that's inside of these fruits, okay? Tangerines, you're getting 23.5 milligrams, lemon, 30.7, limes, 19.5. And a lot of times in a lime or lemons, a lot of people will use that. And so if you read it, it says 1 lemon, 1 lime. You can't say, well, I use my lime from my tea at Las Vegas Cafe and put it in there, but it's just a slice of lime, right? It's not the whole lemon in there. So you're not really getting the full benefits. The next one, this one's amazing, and I was impressed at the numbers. So red bell peppers. Red bell peppers have very, very high levels of vitamin C. That's actually twice as much as what you're gonna find in citrus, okay? The other good thing about red bell peppers is you're not getting the sugar that you're gonna get from the citrus, okay? So you can make different types of meals with red bell peppers. You can stuff them. You can make your chile rellenos. You can do different types of deals to actually get the benefits of the red bell peppers. The other thing too that red bell peppers will have is a little bit of capsaicin in there. That capsaicin will actually increase thermogenesis, increase metabolic rate, which is great for your body, right? And it's not anything crazy. It's not like a serrano pepper that's very higher, much higher with capsaicin, which is good. It also has beta carotene. That's that stuff that helps with the different types of colors in the fruits and the vegetables and stuff. And beta carotene is good for your eyes, and it promotes healthy skin. The other thing that it has right here is the vitamin C content compared to the orange that we saw, which was 50. A red bell pepper is going to give you 152 milligrams. It's a lot higher. So that's some good stuff that if you're looking at, well, you know what, I'm going to make some fajitas. There's some restaurants you go to and they'll make you your fajitas with bell peppers. And I'm guilty of this. Before I saw this information, I would say, you know what, I don't want bell peppers. I don't want the onions. And I do say I don't want the onions because I don't like the crazy smell in my breath. Plus, if they over caramelize them, that's just releasing a lot of the sugars, which I don't like to consume. But the red bell peppers themselves and even green bell peppers are actually going to give me a lot more benefits that I need. So when you're at the restaurants, if they offer that, consume them, okay? Yes?
The question is, if bell peppers are sauteed, do they lose any nutrition?
Yes, anything with any type of food product that you're looking at, and we'll talk about it in some of these slides as well, if you overcook them, you lose a lot of the nutritional value, okay? But there's also some that you do need to cook them a little bit to unlock the nutritional substances as well. All right. So broccoli, I used to hate broccoli. When I started doing healthier eating and all this stuff, broccoli was still one of those things that I did not want to consume. I stayed away from it as much as I could. Now I actually crave broccoli. I don't know why. But I love it. It's one of those things that I can just get it and just start eating it, and I actually feel much better. And there's times where I'm just like, man, I don't know what's going on. I just feel so run down today. I need something else. And so I'll go and I'll just look for something green, like broccoli, and just start eating that. So it's supercharged. It's packed with a lot of vitamins and minerals, which is good for our body. It has vitamins A, vitamin C, and vitamin E, and other antioxidants. Like I said, vitamin E is one of those that's needed to boost up our immune system, and so is vitamin C. Again, we just talked about this. Do not overcook to maintain its power. A lot of times people will go and then they'll boil it and they'll put it in the water. Well, when they're cooking it, all the nutrients have come out in the water, and then what do we do with the water? We throw the water into the sink. It's got all the nutritional value in there. So sometimes you want to steam them instead of boiling them, so that way you can still retain a lot of the supplements or a lot of the nutrition that's inside there. Broccoli has other things in there, 3-carbinol, DIM, which actually helps with metabolization of certain things in your body. When we start looking at like estrogen issues in patients, a lot of patients that come in with family histories of breast cancers, or they come in with pre-existing issues of endometriosis, uterine fibroids. A lot of times that's a high estrogen issue that we will look at and address. And a lot of times they're not metabolizing things correctly. We'll tell them to do genetic testing through like 23andMe, look at their detoxification pathways, see if that needs some help and assistance. And then we'll say, you know, make a recommendation, let's use some Indo-3 carbinol. Even for men, for their prostate health, that's one of those things too that you want to be looking at is, hey, you know what, are you taking any Indo-3 carbinol, some DIM, to actually help with decreasing your risk of prostate issues? There's been different studies that actually show that out there for helping protect prostate in men, okay? Garlic. Garlic is one of those things that I know when we were younger, and I think a lot of people maybe watching this would go to Mexico and buy the big old thing of garlic. And I used to see that all the time, and they'd be like putting it around their neck and walking around, everybody selling this big old piece of garlic. But honestly, like back then, that was a huge thing. Now you don't see that many people doing it. There's obviously a lot of people that don't even like to cook with garlic. And everybody's looking for garlic powder. You know, nobody wants to crush their own garlic. Nobody wants to make things with garlic. But garlic's an amazing food out there that we should look at. So it has a lot of different properties. There's a lot of things within garlic that are beneficial, and it's actually been shown to fight infections. So a lot of times too, if you have like tooth infections, different types of stuff, just eating garlic, there's some sulfur-containing compounds. I know my slide is wrong. It says high concentration of self-containing compounds. It's supposed to be sulfur-containing compounds, such as alicillin, which is pretty much kind of like a penicillin, which actually will help kind of break up things in your body and help ward off that infection. It also will, and I've had this a lot of times with people, my patients say, you know what, I started increasing my garlic consumption, my blood pressure's dropped, which is awesome, right? Now there's research saying that you got to use aged garlic, which is like kyolic garlic. Kyolic garlic can actually help decrease blood pressure as well. Kyolic is Kyloic, and that's out there available. But if you can cook food with real garlic, not the fake powdered garlic. The other thing too, this is not to knock down any company out there that you buy powdered garlic from. But a lot of times it's not just garlic that's inside the container. They'll put different types of things in there to help with the flow, you know, so when you're shaking it and that way it doesn't clump up. But the most important thing is that you look for something that has true, just 100% garlic. There's no filler, there's nothing else inside there. So read the back of the label and it'll tell you what it contains. And if it just says garlic, okay. If it says garlic and something else to prevent caking, like such as sodium dioxide and there's a couple other things, don't take that. Look for something that's just 100% garlic. But the best thing is just using real garlic. Now, another thing about garlic is that when you're peeling it, it sometimes can take a long time. So I've seen little tricks, and what they'll do is they'll get a mason jar, they'll put the garlic inside there, close it up, and then just shake it, and then open it up, and it's already ready to go. It's good stuff, right? You guys have done that too? It's good, right? No trick to look at. Ginger. Ginger is a great thing that food to look at and try and incorporate. I know there's a lot of dishes from India that use a lot of ginger, which is good. There's a lot of people that I know that like to drink ginger ales. And the ginger ales is just to help kind of soothe their stomach, calm it down. It actually has been shown to decrease nausea. So if you're feeling nauseous or you just don't feel right, start incorporating a little bit of ginger to actually help with that. It's really good anti-inflammatory as well, which a lot of times patients have inflammatory responses going on. So use that. It's also been shown to decrease like redness with patients that have sore throats. And it's due to its inflammatory response. Yes? Flat. Okay. And it's also been shown to decrease chronic pain and potassium compounds to lower cholesterol as well. Right, so ginger is one of those other products that we should look at to incorporate in there. It just gives your food a little bit of extra spice, but it makes things taste better. I know there's a water, Flow water, and it's got ginger inside there, and you drink it, and you're getting a little bit of ginger. It helps calm your stomach. So Flow, Flow, and water. Okay. Spinach, spinach like Popeye, right? So spinach is another great thing to look at. Make sure that you're consuming enough of. I like to go to Luby's and I'll have me a spinach salad. A lot of times I'll just go or get spinach from wherever. and cook it. Now I try not to get the spinach that's been overcooked and it's already in a frozen block unless I'm making spinach artichoke. Then I'll use that for my spinach in there. But it's very rich in vitamin C, and it's got very numerous amounts of antioxidants and beta carotene as well. All these are actually help to increase infection fighting abilities in our immune system, right? So again, if we're looking for something to help boost our immune system, spinach is one of those products that we can consume. Now, everybody out there, I want you to raise your hands. How many of you eat your spinach? Not many of you, right? Okay, we got 5 people in here eating our spinach. Yes, boom, I'm one of them too. It's good. Do I eat it all the time? I don't eat it all the time, but I eat it at least 3 times a month. And most of the time I want it nice and fresh and good tasting, right? Now with spinach, again, don't overcook it. I don't like to cook my spinach. I like to just eat it raw. Times I'll go to the store, to the restaurants, and I'll order my salad. And then they say, what dressing would you like? And I'm like, I don't like dressing. Just give it to me like that. And I eat like a caveman. I just start grabbing it and just start biting it. I do use my hands a lot of the times. I don't believe in forks and knives and stuff. I think those are not important. Except if I'm cooking a steak or cutting a steak, then I'll use a knife, right? Just to be very proper and etiquette wise, right? But like my veggies, I just love to just grab them. I think I look at spinach when I'm eating it like I used to look at a French fry, The other thing too that I love to eat that reminds me of a French fry in my mind is eating asparagus, right? And so those things are very, very good for us to look at to make sure that we are getting our proper nutrients. So again, spinach is another great thing to be eating. It's a green leafy vegetable, so make sure you eat your spinach, kids. All right, next one, yogurt. Now, there's a lot of yogurts out there, and I kind of do not like yogurts, but I do like yogurts, right? There's a lot of benefits with yogurts. The thing I don't like about yogurts is I get a lot of customers or patients, and they'll come in like, oh yeah, I eat yogurt. And like, oh really, which one? Oh, I have the Chobani. Okay, which one? And it's not to knock Chobani down. It's not to knock down or whatever company it is. But then they're like, oh, I like the one that's strawberry banana, or I like the one that has this and that. And then they're like, okay, so in the back, what's the sugar content? And we'll look at it and it's got like 42 grams of sugar. Come on, that's way too much sugar in there. You look at the back and it's like the first ingredient is sugar, second ingredient is yogurt. And it's like, well, it's supposed to be yogurt, not sugar, right? So those are things that we always want to be looking at. Make sure that you do get one that is very, very low in the amount of sugar content for the container. And most of the time you're going to see if things are about, I would say under 10, right? If you can find a yogurt that has sugar content, carbohydrates under 10, it's good. And the reason being is that milk itself that they use to make yogurt has about 7 to 8 grams of sugar. Now, the thing about it is you're not going to get a lot of the bad parts of it because the cultures, which is right here on the top of the slide, says look for yogurts that have live and active cultures, okay? That actually means that those cultures are actually eating up that sugar, and so a lot of times that level is a lot lower than what's stated on the label. And so the cultures are really, really good. It helps boost your immune system. It helps with your gut. A lot of times we'll talk about gut, right? You want to have a good immune system, you got to have a proper gut, so fix your gut. If you're eating sugar all the time, you're going to damage your gut. Sugar is very, very inflammatory in our body. So the cultures help stimulate your immune system, help you fight off diseases. Try to get plain yogurts and sweeten them with healthy fruits and honey, okay? Don't get them already sweetened. You be in control of the sweetness, okay? Use some sugar alcohols such as erythritol or xylitol. Use some stevia as well to help sweeten it, all right? Don't use things, a sugar alcohol that's out there is called maltitol. Maltitol will actually spike your sugar levels and insulin levels just like regular sugar. But xylitol, erythritol very well. Stevia works very good. Allulose is another one. It's a good sugar to use. You can find all those different things at H.O.P.E. You can find them at Crave Market. You can find them at Sprouts as well and online. So just try and get plain yogurts and sweeten them with healthy fruits and honey. Now, patients always ask me, what are the best fruits that I like to eat? We already talked about like some of the citrus ones, the different things. I would say stick with the berries. Berries have a lot of antioxidants. We're exposed to so much oxidative stress in our body. We have so many free radicals. We need antioxidants to decrease all that in our body. So the berries, right? Blueberries, make sure you wash them because a lot of these blueberries that we are exposed to right now, strawberries, get sprayed with pesticides left and right. And so we need to make sure that we're cleaning all those things before we start eating them. Yogurt is also a great source of vitamin D, which also we talked about earlier, helps to regulate immune system support.
Question, is Greek yogurt better than plain yogurt, or regular yogurt?
It is. Actually, Greek yogurt is much better. It actually has a lot more live and active cultures inside of it. So I would say yes. There's another yogurt that we've actually had a couple times at the market, is the Maple Hill Creamery, and it's good, made from milk that's no antibiotics. And hormone free, so it's really, really good. So those are things that we want to make sure that we are looking for products that have those things. So Greek yogurt, yes, I would say probably would be one of the better things. Again, get the plain, sweeten it yourself. The next thing we'll talk about is almonds. Almonds are great. I love to eat almonds. Actually, yes, ma'am.
One more question.
Yes.
If you can't do yogurt, is there a good substitute?
A good substitute for yogurt. For cultures, I mean, you can take probiotics, and probiotics are going to give you a lot of the good stuff that you need. I would say one of the best ones that's out there on the market that I've been using a lot with my patients is called Megaspore probiotics. Microbiome Labs is the one that produces that. So Megaspore is actually a spore-based probiotic, which means that I know a lot of people that are already out there that take probiotics say you have to get them from the fridge, because the fridge means the cultures are alive and active and then they're still going. Well, with the new stuff, when you look at a spore-based one, you can actually leave it outside in the heat and it does not damage. You do not lose the content of there. Plus, a lot of times supplements that are coming out right now with bacteria and probiotics, first we start off with like 4 billion cultures, then 10 billion cultures, then 15, then 20, then 30, now 100 billion cultures. You know what I mean? So we're trying to figure out, okay, well, how much do we actually need? Thing with a lot of these probiotics is when you consume them and they hit the acid in your stomach, the acid in your stomach actually destroys the probiotics. So a lot of times we want to go with a higher level. So with the amount that actually hits our intestinal tract, hopefully we still get a small amount. We still get some insight there, right? And a lot of times we're going to end up with like 4 to 10 billion cultures. Well, with Megaspore and being in the spore-based form, when it hits the acid doesn't do anything to it, doesn't kill it. And then it hits the intestinal tract, it opens up, and then now you're exposed to the bacteria that's inside there, which is the good stuff. Now, there's also looking at probiotics and prebiotics. I didn't really talk about that on the slide, but since we talked about it and somebody was asking, I'll bring it up. If you're taking prebiotics and you have not cleaned up your gut, all you're doing is feeding the bad bacteria, okay? Feeding the bad bacteria is allowing it to grow, and you're still going to continue with things, issues. A lot of times the gut, the candida, the yeast, different types of stuff that's growing inside your GI system are just continuing to grow if you just continue feeding it the junk. So clean up your diet, clean up your nutrition, start incorporating some good probiotics, and then you can start incorporating a lot of those prebiotics inside there. So yes, that would be the biggest thing with getting the cultures out there. I know there's different types that you can use. Kombucha can give you some good cultures as well. If you like the way kombucha tastes. Some people don't like the way it tastes. I don't mind it. Do I drink it all the time? No. To me, kombucha is like eggnog once a year. Okay? But yes, good question. Thank you. Next thing we'll talk about is almonds, right? So almonds, nuts, those are good things. Now the people in the world, I want everybody to say yes. If you respond on the chat and just say, do you believe that peanuts are nuts? Hit yes. And I bet you a lot of you are going to say maybe. But peanuts are not nuts, okay? They are legumes. They're not good for you, right? They do give a little bit of benefits, but not a lot of benefits. You don't get the high vitamins and mineral contents and stuff that you actually need that you're going to get from actual nuts, right? So Brazilian nuts, almonds, pecans, those are things that you really want to be looking at. And so here we got some fresh pecans from outside, right? I'll be eating these later. I will make them with, hopefully get me a pecan pie made from somebody. It's good. Almonds are very high in vitamin E, okay? A lot of nuts are going to be very high in vitamin E. They help support the immune system. they're full of good fats as well, right? So people that do ketogenic diet, a lot of times they will consume those almonds and pecans to be able to help keep them in ketosis, giving them the good fats to help their liver produce ketone bodies, okay? The vitamin E helps support the immune system like we've been talking about. So I'm stressing a lot of the supplements that we were talking about in the very beginning with all the foods, that way you know where they're coming from. And the vitamin E is fat soluble, is that you need some fat to help them absorb, which you're getting the good fats inside the almonds to help with that absorption process. Now, half a cup of almonds provides 100% of the recommended daily amount of vitamin E. So that's good. So I want to see everybody going out and buying a bag of almonds and taking at least a handful with them and eating that once a day, okay? I would say do that in the morning instead of having your cereal or having your granola and stuff like that, and actually help try and keep you satiated longer. All right, the next food, turmeric. How many people actually like to consume turmeric? I like it in a capsule form. I don't like it in powder form. You like it in the powder form? Yeah? I know cooking with it is good. It gives it that nice little yellow color. Gives it a little spiciness to it. I know when I was in pharmacy school up in Kingsville, my roommate, Ron John Panda, I miss you, Ron, he actually used to cook a lot of Indian food for me, and it was amazing. And he would tell me, close your door, put a towel, because it's going to stink here. But it's going to get some very good, authentic food. And it was amazing. But the benefits that you see from turmeric is amazing. We see a lot of patients that have Alzheimer's, neurological diseases and stuff like that. There's a lot more research showing that it's been shown to decrease those inflammatory responses. So patients should be consuming that. And so we have a lot of patients that come into the pharmacy that are looking for it, and they will start taking the capsule form to try and decrease that inflammatory response. The other thing too is research has actually been shown that they use it to treat inflammation in patients that have osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. Now, this is not saying that if you have RA, you need to be on turmeric and it's going to cure your RA. No. RA is a multifactorial response. It's something going on in your body. There's a lot of inflammatory responses, not just one piece. So I'm telling you, this isn't going to cure it, but it actually helps decrease the inflammatory response in your body, okay? Green tea. So how many people like to drink their tea? I love my tea, and I am guilty of consuming black tea, but I do like my green tea as well. Black tea to me is because it's everywhere, right? You go to Whataburger, they have black tea. You go to Chili's, they have black tea. That's the reason why I consume it. But other than that, I do like drinking green tea. It's actually beneficial. The EGCG that's inside there is actually the most important part that's inside green tea. Now, people say, well, I drink my tea, right? And you start looking at it and like, okay, so you're drinking tea. It's awesome. How did you make your tea? Did you brew it? Did you throw it outside in the sun? I remember back in the day, we used to get the big old containers, put the tea bags in there and let the sun, the sun tea. Good, amazing stuff, right? Well, then you're starting to see people now is like, oh yeah, I get my tea from here. And I just pour the powder and mix it and it's like, no, it's not tea. It's not the right stuff, right? And so things change, right? But we should be brewing tea to actually get the benefits from there. So they're packed with flavonoids, which is another type of antioxidant. EGCG, the greatest thing is that it is a very powerful antioxidant as well. It actually has been shown to improve immune function. Now, here's the next part. The fermentation process that black tea goes through removes the EGCG. So the benefits that you should be getting from EGCG, through that process of them making that black tea, you lose it. So that's why you don't get the benefits that you would from green tea compared to the black tea. The other thing too about green tea is that it's a good source of an amino acid called L-theanine. L-theanine. L-theanine is one of those things, those supplements that we use a lot of at the pharmacy. Patients that have anxiety, you start using some L-theanine. L-theanine will help calm them down. So the way I like to see L-theanine is it works like Xanax, it works like Ativan, which is your alprazolam, lorazepam. It works exactly like those in the exact same receptor site in your body, which is a GABA-A receptor, to help with the relaxation. But it doesn't cause the sedation that you're going to get with those other products, right? So we've actually had some patients that are on, alprazolam or lorazepam, and then you remove them from there, and then they start having their withdrawals and So to prevent that, we started giving them L-theanine, and L-theanine actually helps prevent all that. We use it a lot with our patients that are going through menopause or premenopausal, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, using that to kind of help calm them down to be able to decrease stress levels in their body. So stress is another thing that will wreak havoc on your immune system if you have very, very, very bad adrenals already. So L-theanine, if you're not consuming it and you're highly stressed, I would really consider taking it. There's a product from Pure Encapsulations that I like to recommend to patients, and so it's L-theanine, but then there's also cortisol calm to decrease cortisol levels, stress levels in your body. There's even some other products such as Best Rest that can incorporate some L-theanine as well, and all that is just to help kind of relax you, help you get into some sleep, okay? Moringa, another type of tea, right? So everybody sees moringa as just this amazing, amazing plant out there, and it does. It has a lot of benefits, right? There's a lot of things that you can actually get from moringa. There's a lot of B vitamins inside there, which is crazy. You're going to see that if you take some of those moringas, and I actually have some patients that actually grow it, and they have a moringa plant at their house. Here at the H.O.P.E farm, they actually have some moringa as well. You can come into the facility here and actually buy fresh moringa to take home with you. And then you can just brew it like you would regular tea. But moringa, the other thing too is you're getting some protein in there. It's not a lot of protein, so if you're a vegan thinking you're going to get your extra protein from moringa, it's not going to happen. But you do get some protein from there. Protein, again, increases that thermogenic response. You're going to get about 19% of your RDA of B6. You're going to get 12% of RDA of vitamin C. Some iron, so patients that actually have anemias, it's going to be there. Riboflavin, vitamin A, which is the beta carotene, and magnesium. Magnesium is one of those other big nutrients that we should be getting on. You're going to get some in your almonds. You're going to get some in some of the other foods that we talked about. But in moringa, you're going to be getting some more of those. So if you want to try something out, try something different, try and get that, the superfood that everybody's talking about as well to help with decreasing, inflammatory response and just giving you overall health. Look at moringa and see if that actually helps you. All right. Papaya. So I'm not a fan of papaya. I'm not a fan, I'm going to say it. But it's loaded with vitamin C. So it is good stuff for you. A lot of times papaya, when I think of papaya, and it's just something that when I was in undergrad, one of my professors talked about using papaya, and there's a digestive enzyme in there called papain. And so he's like, get a papaya, cut it up, and throw it in with your beef. Leave it there overnight and see what happens to your beef. And I'm like, well, what's going to happen? He goes, well, just try it and see. Well, I did, and I put some fajitas in there, and I threw the papain in there. It was gone. Like, it was just shredded up because the papain actually just breaks up that protein. So if you're having issues metabolizing or breaking down meat, you should look at having some papain in your diet when you're cooking. It's a really good meat tenderizer to put in there. When you start looking at people that like get stung, you're using some kind of seasoning that has some papain in there. The papain actually will denature the proteins as well. So it's very, very good stuff to use in patients. So a lot of my patients will take digestive enzymes if they say, you know what, I eat something, I'm always bloated, or I eat something and I get some acid reflux. And so we'll start doing different things with them. We will start looking at, they need to take some betaine, which betaine can actually be used to increase the quality of the acid, which actually is decreasing the pH in the patient. And we can talk about that another time. If anybody has questions on that, we can actually talk about the use of digestive enzymes and betaine in actually improving acid function in your stomach. The other thing too about papayas is that they contain a decent amount of B vitamins, potassium, folate, which are all beneficial for overall health, right? So we will talk about overall health in a minute too. With we have the ones that support immune system, and then just products that everybody should be taking on a daily basis to actually support their body. Kiwi. This is a product that I did not think I would ever like, but I love eating kiwi. It's amazing, and it's packed with nutrients. It's got a lot of folate, potassium. So those patients that are on dialysis, watch with your potassium levels. So this is one of those things that you kind of need to make sure that you're not consuming too much of. Vitamin K and vitamin C. And, you know, another thing about vitamin C, which you've talked about a lot about vitamin C and how it improves immune function, it also will boost white blood cells to fight infection in your body. So if you're looking at things, people that are on sepsis and have this other stuff, a lot of times we're using vitamin C to try and help them fight that infection. All right. Poultry. All right. So who in the room live streaming loves their chicken? Me. How do you like your chicken? In tenders. I'm joking, not in tenders. That's my son. My son would love, he's like, I love my Cane's chicken tenders. I love my chicken nuggets. As you know, you talk to kids nowadays and that's what they all like to eat. I mean, I love chicken, right? And I love baked chicken. I love barbecue chicken. I kind of sometimes feel like, what's his name? Bubba from... yeah, Bubba Gump. Yeah. So it's good. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with chicken, right? You can make broths with it. You can make pollo guisado. You can make baked chicken, barbecue chicken. What else? Rotisserie chicken. Keener's rotisserie chicken. I miss that place. But poultry itself, right? So a good thing about chicken, it's going to be very high in B vitamins, B6 importantly. And again, B6 is important for a lot of chemical responses, even serotonin production. So if you're feeling that kind of like down and out, I know a lot of people are in this shelter in place. If you're in shelter in place right now, you should have at least been, before we started here, outside for a little bit, getting some of that sun, keeping your distance from everybody. But we need to make sure we're getting those that vitamin D conversion. Go inside, eat some chicken, so that way you can get that B6 to actually prevent the depression. I'll talk about that in a minute when we finish the slide real quick. But it's also important, B6 is also important in the folate for production of healthy red blood cells. Your chicken, free range, organic, no antibiotics are the best. So drive around the outside of Harlingen and even some of the inside of Harlingen and look for chickens that are running around and see if they'll sell you one of those chickens and then just cut it, eat it. I know here at the farm sometimes they make some really nice chicken soup using some fresh chickens. So look for that when you're at H.O.P.E or other groceries. Make sure that you're looking for those types of chicken. If you can't find it, okay, I understand. Use the other ones. But again, if you want the best nutritional value without all of the other junk inside there, that's going to be the best thing to look at. Okay? So going back to depression, going back to the B6 and stuff like that, even vitamin D. So a lot of times during the winter time, and I'm guilty of this too, because I feel this, and it's not just women and it's just not certain people, but you know, we're inside all day, there's a lot of overcast, we don't see the sun, we don't get any conversion, and then all of a sudden we all just feel like real gloomy. You know, we get this cabin fever. We don't like what's going on, right? We're not loving ourselves the way we should. And a lot of it has to come back to, well, we're not getting that vitamin D conversion, right? So a lot of my patients, I'll tell them, you know, start taking some vitamin D. Take a capsule of 50,000 vitamin D or some 10,000 units of vitamin D to try and help with that, okay? So vitamin D is very, very important, along with your B vitamins.
Question.
Yes?
Dark meat or white meat better?
So it depends what you're looking at. If you look at a lot of the dark meat, a lot of times that's where they inject a lot of the chickens. So if you're not getting that free range chicken, that you're gonna get a lot more of the antibiotics and the growth hormones and stuff from there. But if you are getting some good quality stuff, then I actually like the dark meat more than the white meat, because the dark meat's gonna give me a lot more of the fat than the white meat, right? And that's because I do practice that ketogenic type of diet, and so I'm always looking for the higher fats. But if you're getting something no antibiotics, because the other thing too about fat cells, right? So when we start looking at fat, your body tries to store toxins and bad stuff into fat, okay? So just imagine the chicken's getting injected with these things. The fattier part of the chicken, it's going to have all of those toxins and stuff. But if you're getting that free range, again, that's the healthier fat that you're going to be getting. So those are the ones that I would say, yes, get. So protein-wise, you're gonna get more protein by consuming the chicken breast compared to like the legs and thighs. But that darker meat, I'm guilty. I don't know if it's because of my skin color, but I love the dark meat for sure. Okay.
I do too.
You do? It's not skin color based? Okay, then we know it's not a skin color deal. But yeah, the dark meat to me tastes much better. It's a lot juicier than that white meat. The next thing is sunflower seeds, right? So again, a lot of times seeds, I'll tell you, are amazing. One seed that I don't have on here is a chia seed. And chia actually is full of nutrients. A lot of B vitamins, a lot of vitamin C, a lot of fiber, omega-3s, which are very, very good. A lot of times we get a lot of omega-3s from like fishes, but you're gonna get a lot from chia. So sunflower seeds, you're gonna get some. It's full of phosphorus, magnesium, vitamin B6, vitamin E, and all of those things working together help to support the immune system. Now, nice raw sunflower seeds are good. They don't taste the best. I like the saltier ones, right? Or the ones that have the barbecue flavor on there, you know? Those also work very good, but then you're just getting all the junk, right? All the bad stuff. So just get some regular sunflower seeds. Sometimes I will buy the bags of the seeded, you know, so you're not, because who eats the actual shell? Everybody just eats the actual seed. You eat the shell? Oh man, I do it if I like swallow it on accident, but not all the time. It's not something that I look forward to consuming. But other foods that actually have high levels of vitamin E are going to be avocados. And a lot of people that are doing like ketogenic type diets love their avocados. And then a lot of people of Hispanic culture love eating avocados no matter what, just because it's in everything, right? Guacamole is an appetizer, in the taquitos, right? The salsa, the guacamole salsa. You know, I like even my beans, you know, I like to go to Mr. Tacos, the especial, with the bistec, the queso blanco, the guacamole, the works, right? And so it's good stuff. Avocado is a good fruit that actually has a lot of supplement or nutritional value inside there. They do have a lot of carbohydrates, but it's a lot of fiber, okay? So I'll tell you one of the things that I like to eat the most, and I actually have some in my house right now, and I just bought some like 2 days ago. This guy comes by this pharmacy to sell them, and avocados, great product to eat. The other thing too is dark leafy vegetables, which we have some here. Those are very, very good to be consuming to actually help with vitamin E levels, which support heart health, okay, vascular support. So those are things that you want to consume as well. The other thing too about dark green vegetables is that they also help detoxify your body, okay? So we're going to go into a little bit of detoxification here in a minute. And so a lot of times you're going to see that in the broccoli and in the green leafy vegetables. Shellfish. Now, we're talking about all these fruits and veggies and stuff a minute ago, some nuts and seeds, but we did talk about poultry, but now we're going to talk about just shellfish in general. And the main thing about shellfish is that they actually contain a lot of zinc, right? So we're just talking about zinc and how it's important for us in our body to help with immune system support. So crabs, clams, lobsters, mussels, and not the mussels, not the guns guys, okay? Actual mussels, the shellfish. They contain high levels of zinc. Recommended amounts of zinc in adult men is about 11 milligrams. Adult women is 8 milligrams. So I would just say 10 milligrams to be consuming would be a very nice level to take. I know there's some supplements that we have even at the stores, like 15. Do not go and start taking 5 capsules of 15 just to boost your immune system. It doesn't work that way. You're just going to do a lot more damage to your body. So over excess of zinc can inhibit immune response. Too much zinc would displace copper, which is vital in the body as well, which we talked about earlier. So next thing we're talking about is sleep, right? We're talking about immune function. We talk about foods that are important for our immune system, but we also need to talk about sleep. Now, how many people are actually sleeping enough? We should be, because many people aren't working in their office. They're working remotely, unless your company says, we need to be on a conference call at 8 o'clock in the morning. If you own your business and you do not need to be open at 8 o'clock in the morning and you're working remotely, let your employees start a little bit later so they can sleep more, So that way when you do come back to work, their body's already fully restored. They're ready to get back to hitting the grind. Because sleep is very important. And I know this does not mean the employees say, well, I don't have to get up till 10, so I'm going to go to sleep at 3. No. Go to sleep when you're supposed to. Sleep until you can wake up. And your body will tell you when it's time to wake up. And you wake up and go about your day. Don't be like me sometimes. I'll wake up and I'm like, man, it's 5 in the morning. I'm going to go back to bed. A lot of times when you do that, you wake up feeling worse than if you would have just woke up at 5 in the morning, right? Your body will tell you when. We have these crazy circadian rhythms and stuff that happen in our body. Our body tells us, hey, you know what? You've slept enough. It's time to go. Let's hit it. The other thing too is your body actually produces a lot of the cortisol that gets you through the rest of the day, which is your stress hormone. So we need to make sure that we are resetting our body, and a lot of that's going to be with proper sleep. So there's been studies actually looking at sleep deprivation, right? And so patients, they deprive them of sleep. I mean, that's even one of those tactics that some law enforcement or even some people used to use back in the day, and they would just keep people awake, and it just breaks down their body, right? So it will affect, comfort, physiological framework. So what we actually look for is 6.5 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. So I have a lot of patients that say, oh yeah, I sleep about 10 hours a day. I'll sleep about 4 hours at night, then I wake up, then I start getting on Facebook, I'll look at something, I'll go to Walmart at 2 in the morning, because that's the best time to go to Walmart, which right now we can't go to Walmart at 2 in the morning because of the COVID. But they'll say, well, and then I get home, take my kids to school, and then when my kids are school, I'll go back to sleep for a little bit, and it's like, it doesn't work that way, guys, okay? We need 6.5 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. The longer you sleep, the more you can allow your body and other hormones and immune modulators to actually start working together and restore your body, okay? That's one thing that you'll see, that in some patients, when they put them in like a coma, a medically induced coma, it's actually better because now you're not having these excitability, all these different things going on, to where their body actually is able to restore itself, and their body is able to help heal itself. So sleep is very, very important.
So we have a question.
Uh-huh.
I have leg pain. It makes it hard to sleep. Any suggestions?
Yes, on leg pain, a lot of times it depends. If it's more muscular, more nerve. If it's more muscular, I would say increasing the amount of magnesium that you're taking will help with that as well. A lot of times stretching will help to loosen up those muscles. A lot of times if it's a back pain, lower back pain, it can actually be starting from your sciatic nerve. There could have been like trauma that was caused there. A lot of times I'll go to get massages. Greater Therapeutics, John Ray Gonzalez is a guy that I like to use. Pro Sports is another company that does an amazing job with a lot of runners out there. So getting that stretching, and a lot of people like, well, I don't want to go get a massage. It's not the type of massage that you're thinking about. Like, these are people that are actually really working to actually getting your body back to normal. And so they're going to do a lot of different stretches. It's not just massage, but they'll do some massaging as well. So it's good, complete structural support. And so definitely something to look at. And it's even if it's nerve pain. So, I mean, there's been times where I'll go in there and I'm just like hunched back and I'm just like, man, I can't do this. And, wear a belt, all these different things. I'll go in there. Within 30 minutes of them just working on my back, I'll get out feeling amazing because they're able to loosen up the muscles, and it works better than a muscle relaxant. But a lot of people would say, well, I'm not going to pay $60 for that massage, but I'll pay $20 for that muscle relaxant the doctor's going to prescribe for me. Yeah, but you just paid $20 for that medication, or $5, $10, but then you also paid the $20, $30, plus you wasted 3 to 4 hours waiting to see the doctor to get that muscle relaxant, right? A lot of times I just call this guy, go, spend 30 minutes, and I'm done, feel much better. So there's a lot of things that you can take other than medications, and that's exactly what I like for people to do. But magnesium, minimum 240 milligrams a day is what you should be consuming of magnesium, whether you're the healthiest or the sickest person out there. 240 milligrams. Yep.
Is there a type of magnesium that's better than others?
So there's different types. I like to take magnesium glycinate. Magnesium glycinate is easier on the stomach. A lot of times you can take magnesium oxide, but again, we're just talking about free radicals and oxidative species and stuff like that inside your blood. Oxidative stress, taking an oxide is an oxidizer. So I would say stay away from that one. There has been a lot of research on it, but it's freely available. I mean, there's so many different types out there, but glycinate is probably the biggest one. Now, if we're losing something to help decrease or for neurological support, there's one, it's called magnesium L-threonate. That one is good for people that have like Alzheimer's or dementia and stuff. But magnesium, the other good thing about them is it's a calcium channel blocker, right? And I just said that freely because I'm a pharmacist, but to the regular people, calcium channel blockers, pretty much it just relaxes muscles, okay? So women out there that have given birth and have gone through the whole labor thing, you know, you go to the hospital and to decrease contractions, a lot of times they'll give you IV magnesium to stop the contractions, okay? So magnesium is a very good thing. People that go to the hospital sometimes that have arrhythmias, they'll start them on magnesium IV. Magnesium will actually stop the arrhythmias by, you know, working the calcium channel. So it's a calcium channel blocker. A lot of these patients, when they leave there, they'll put them on a calcium channel blocker, such as amlodipine, which amlodipine is a medication that can cause peripheral edema in patients, which is swelling in the feet. So a lot of times I tell patients consume their amlodipine at bedtime to prevent that. So when you're laying down, you get even flow, and so you prevent that edema from happening, and you're still going to get the benefits throughout the day. But magnesium is going to do the exact same thing. So I was doing a hypertension project, and a lot of my patients that we did this hypertension project with, we did some changes to the medication. We were actually able to get them off medications. All we did was increase electrolytes and increase magnesium. Just by doing those things in patients, I would say in 75 to 80% of the patients, it actually worked. The other patients, though, there was a lot of other things that we were trying to do because they were on beta blockers already. They weren't on calcium channel blockers. Beta blockers, if you stop them right away, you get rebound hypertension. So those things were a lot harder to work with, but these were patients that weren't on beta blockers already, just taking something like an ACE inhibitor, even thiazide-like diuretics. We were able to get them to switch because a lot of times, too, those thiazide-like diuretics will actually deplete electrolytes in your body. And magnesium is a very, very important electrolyte that we need. So yes, magnesium, but in a glycinate form, I would say is the best form to take just to prevent the diarrhea. A lot of times it will loosen up your stools, magnesium. So there's a liquid out there that they sell in the digestive section at CVS, Walgreens, Muñiz Pharmacy. We have it as well. Everyone else, and it's called magnesium glycinate. A lot of the GI doctors like to use this as a prep before you have like a colonoscopy, and pretty much you drink that and you're going to be in the restroom. So be close to the restroom if you drink it. It tastes like Sprite, but it's not Sprite. Sprite won't give you the runs the way that will. So yes, that's something to really look at. Okay, so those would be the ones that I would say that if you're going to consume, look at those. All right, so more on sleep, right? So immune system, this is sleep, immune. So if you have more disturbed sleep, and you're going to have more fatigue. So on the one side, you can have a lot of issues over here. And then when you look at how sleep affects your immune system, is when you don't have enough, you're just going to have a lot more chronic diseases. So there's even more studies, more research coming out showing that those that have very, very poor sleep actually have higher incidence of chronic diseases such as atherosclerosis, diabetes, cholesterol issues as well. All right. So we talk about GI health. We talked about supplements. You know, GI health is one of those things that a lot of us don't look at, right? A lot of people say, you know what, you don't need that. But you know what? Your gut in functional medicine is your second brain, right? Everything that happens in your gut is going to affect everything else in your body. The food you put in is what you're going to get out. You put junk in, you're going to get junk out. Thing I like to say, you know, is our bodies were made like Ferraris, okay? High performance machines. Not all of us though. Some of us were made like Tonka trucks, like me. I'm a big boy, okay? So I was not made for speed. I was made for strength, you know? So, but it's important that we look at those things and say, you know what we put in is the most important thing. So in your vehicle, if you go and put junk in there, you're going to mess up your vehicle engine, right? It's the same thing what happens in our bodies. We're consuming the bad stuff, we're going to have bad things happen to us, okay? So it's important that we know what types of foods that we're putting in. The foods that come fresh from like the H.O.P.E farm out here, it's amazing. These are organic, certified organic, And these people know what they're doing. And that's the whole thing. They teach people how to be able to grow these things for the community as well. So get with them, because it's all important, right? When we're going to talk about some of these things, we're talking about pesticides and all these other products, things that can affect you, all right? So the pillars of GI health is you need to have really good digestion. You need to be breaking down food correctly. If you're not breaking down food, you're not getting the benefits. You're not absorbing the nutrients from the food if you're not breaking it down correctly. Are you eliminating things correctly? So a lot of times through bile and stuff, we actually excrete a lot of the junk. A lot of toxins actually go through the liver. They're metabolized, broken down, and then we get rid of some through our urine, and we get rid of some through our feces, right? Foods that we don't need. But if we have a very bad GI system, as the junk is going down the intestinal tract, there's other receptor sites that's just reabsorbing them, and so you never get the benefit. But if you're taking something that has some fiber and you're able to clean out that intestinal tract as it's going through, it's taking all that junk with it, right? So we have to make sure that we have really good elimination going on for GI health. Microflora balance, right? So that's a good bacteria. Do we have enough of that good bacteria? Or do we have a lot of bad bacteria that we're using probiotics with and not actually healing the gut, right? So microflora balance, we're seeing a lot more research coming out of how much the GI works with our flora. There's a study out there that they've done fecal transplants on patients, and it was weird. They got stool, feces, from healthy patients and some from obese, chronically ill patients, right? And they encapsulate them. Don't do this at home, people. This is all done in a lab and everything, okay? All right, so don't go and say, oh yeah, but he's real skinny. I'm going to get some of his feces and see if it makes me skinny. It doesn't work that way, okay? So don't try that at home. But anyway, so what they did is they did this study to see what happened, and the people that were obese that got the feces from the thinner people actually improved in health. And the people that were healthy that started consuming the feces of the people that were chronically ill started to develop those same type of symptoms. So it's crazy. Our gut actually does a lot of things to us. So make sure that you're consuming the right stuff. So gut integrity is important too. So that gut integrity is when we talk about inflammatory response, okay? So do we have leaky gut? That's a big thing that's out there. Do we have a very good structurally supported gut?
They can't see it.
They can hear it, but they can't see it?
Yes.
Okay. So we started talking about leaky gut. Leaky gut, think of, you have tight junctions, right? Think of these two fists together. And you have this here, and it starts coming across and starts opening it. Well, if things are like this, nothing's going to pass through unless it comes through the cells, right? But if it's tightly held together, you're going to get that barrier, just like your skin is, from toxins and everything. But if you have that leakiness, these tight junctions start to loosen up, and now things can just start passing through freely. You don't want that, right? Those things are actually going to be worse on your health. So gut integrity is very, very important. Decrease in inflammatory responses, finding out the foods that are going to be inflammatory responses. A lot of this next couple of slides come from products for Core Restore, which is this little product up here, to actually try and help with our liver detoxification system, actually help heal our gut. And that's pretty much what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure that it is healthy. Yes?
We have a question for supplements. Is it better to take them in the morning, evening, with or without meals?
Depends. So magnesium would be one of those that I would say take it at bedtime to actually help you decrease blood pressure, to actually help you sleep. Vitamin B, that especially like B12, that's going to help give you a little bit of energy and stuff. I would say take that with your first meal of the day. So if it's lunch, I would take it with lunch. Same thing with your vitamin D, vitamin C. Most of my supplements, I do take them with food. Even the bacteria, probiotics, I do like to take them with food just to prevent any kind of GI issues as well. Especially with Megaspore, you're supposed to start off, so you open up the capsule, take half the capsule, and consume that for 1 week, and then you go to a full capsule, because a lot of times taking the full capsule can cause like stomach cramping and stuff. And the way that I've seen is that when I consume it with food, I don't have any of those issues. But if I do consume it without food, at bedtime, I would get a lot of issues. So supplements just depends what the benefits are we're trying to look for. improve sleep, magnesium, bedtime. Okay. So gut integrity. Now, our body, we're exposed to all these different toxins. And the reason we talk about toxins, especially here with the H.O.P.E. Farms, is we start looking at pesticides and a lot of the other things that are out there, GMOs and other things. So there's GMOs, genetically modified products, you know, they're made to be resistant to these pesticides that are killing all the other things around them, but these things still grow, right? But these toxins are actually bad for us, right? Our body actually has to get rid of those toxins, because if not, it will damage our brain, or it'll damage our kidneys, it'll damage our heart, you know, vital organs that our body needs. So this is usually just any kind of substance that has harmful effects on our body. Okay, that's a toxin. The GI tract is not, when the GI tract is not functioning optimally, you know, it puts more burden on the liver, because the liver actually is your filtration system, right? It actually cleans out your blood and gets a lot of the junk out of there. So you're putting more of that toxic burden, and then toxins are fat soluble, you know what I mean? So the fattier cells, it's going to go in there. One thing too that your body tries to do is, so that way it's not free floating everywhere, your body will store those toxins as fat cells, right? And in a lot of our functional medicine training, they were talking about the solution to pollution is dilution. By diluting the amount of toxins in your bloodstream is diluting it into fat. And so you're going to have all these different fat cells around, but a lot of it's just toxins. So a lot of times we want to make sure that we're clearing all of that out from our body. So what are some of the sources of toxins, right? You can get toxins from different things. We get it from, you know, in the air. People that work in factories, the air pollutants, right? People that work in the automotive industry, you know, changing oils and stuff like that, they're exposed to that exhaust as well. Not all of us work out in a farm where we don't have a lot of those toxins, right? A lot of us are working inside the city. We're exposed to a lot of these things. Heavy metals, painters that are out there, they're exposed to all these fumes. Pesticides, herbicides, insecticides. I know, you know, there's a lot of people that don't like ants, okay? And yes, I don't like ants in my house, but a lot of times ants on the outside sometimes are okay, because it's a huge ecosystem with everybody working together and doing our own parts, right? But you go and you start killing off everything, now you're gonna let something else come over and take over, which we don't want, right? So we want everything to be able to work together in a nice ecosystem. So don't go and start spraying insecticides everywhere in your yard just to make sure you don't have any ants. Because what's going to happen, your kids are going to go outside and play. They're going to go play in the water when it rains. All the runoff and everything they're going to get exposed to and have a lot more issues with toxins. Radiation inhalants are different things as well. Inhalants is like spray paint, you know, so people that like to do that. All humans have chemicals in storage, which chemical in storage is your fat cells, right? The U.S. EPA biopsy studies of chemicals stored in the fat in humans show that 100% of people studied had dioxins, PCBs, dichlorobenzene, and xylene. So everybody that they tested had it. I mean, there's even been studies showing that babies that are born, when they look at cord blood, there's a lot of toxins inside there as well, too. Because we're exposed to it just with everything, right? And so we need to just minimize the amount of toxins that we have. Dioxins and PCBs are among the most potent causes of cancers known to men, right? Columbia University School of Public Health reports that 95% of cancer is caused by diet and the environment, okay? Other EPA studies of hundreds of Americans show 100% of human fat samples contain styrene, a known carcinogen as well. Now this slide, it has a lot of words in there. The main things are the ones that are highlighted. But chronic exposure to the herbicide atrazine causes mitochondrial dysfunction and insulin resistance. So insulin resistance, we were talking about earlier, patients that don't use insulin correctly. And they have high levels of insulin. High levels of insulin is high fat storage, right? There's an apparent overlap between the areas in the USA where the herbicide atrazine, ATZ, is heavily used in obesity prevalent maps shown with BMI over 30. I'll show you the map in a minute. It's the next slide. Huh?
It disconnected.
It is, okay.
I think it was another.
That'll work. Shows connected.
I don't know, something happened. I lost the feed. I had to refresh.
Yeah.
There?
It's the,
It's up?
yeah.
Okay. So there's an overlap between the areas in the USA where the herbicide ATZ is being used and obesity prevalence maps for people with BMI over 30, which I'll show you in a minute. Another thing too about this herbicide is it's graded by the FDA as being okay to use. It's
So
crazy.
let me ask, now this is a question for me.
The question from you, K-Pole? Okay.
Yeah, because when I was little, I worked on a farm and atrazine, I remember that we did atrazine.
hmm
So is that something that's short term or is that something that
It
affects
could-
you forever?
It could be long term. Depends on how much is actually stored in your fat cells still, right? Because a lot of times your body can't get rid of it on its own. It actually needs help to actually get rid of in your body. So if you've been chronically exposed to it, it's one of those things that you can do like a liver detox, but it's one of those things that you want to constantly be doing and taking products that actually help detoxification, which is going to be like your broccoli and green leafy vegetables and stuff like that as well, to actually help continue all of that detoxification. So always detoxifying, using things like N-acetylcysteine as well can help with that, and to help produce glutathione, because again, this is all mitochondrial dysfunction that it's all affecting. It's not just one thing; it's affecting a lot of different parts of the cell in your body. So, yes, I don't think there's been enough research on it, but they show that the next thing that's highlighted is that chronic administration of HTZ decreased basal metabolic rate in patients. So, decreasing metabolic rate, now it's like, well, I'm not spending all that energy the way I should be spending. It increases body weight, it increases intra-abdominal fat, and insulin resistance without changing food intake or physical activity levels. So you can be a person that eats right, exercise all the time, do all the things you're supposed to, but just because you have that chronic exposure to the ATZ, you're gonna not get the benefits because it's been decreasing your metabolic rate in there. So a high-fat diet further exacerbated insulin resistance and obesity in some patients. So it's crazy when we start looking at these toxins. So here's the map. So the atrazine, the herbicide, you'll see in 1997 estimated agricultural use. I don't know if y'all can see, but down there in the bottom is South Texas and the Corpus area. And so we were using a lot of that out here, and a lot of people that are workers, farm workers and stuff like that are exposed to this. And so it's something that we should be looking at, of trying to be able to clean out our body to be able to help it do and get the benefits that we need. Where did you grow up, okay? Nebraska, right in the middle of all this red stuff, yeah. So, again, it's there. And this tells you the average annual use of active ingredient, per pound square miles in the county, and we're in the red, which is over 32.771 pounds per square mile. I mean, we were using a lot down here. So, yes, and then so to tell you the crops, corn and sorghum are the ones that use the highest amount. Yep. Which down here, the sorghum. So it's crazy. So detoxification, right? It's better than diet, really. If we're eating healthier, we're detoxifying our body. They work together, right? If you just diet, and we have patients say, "Oh, I diet all the time and I don't get any benefits." Okay, well, what else have you done? Have you looked at, other issues that you may have in your body? Are you detoxifying yourself? Are you getting rid of all that junk? So fat is created and protected fat is created to protect the body from toxins and impurities, which creates unwanted weight gain, right? So if you look here in the very beginning, we have these patients and they have toxins, right? And you see they're kind of bigger, but then they start dieting, they start losing the weight, but they don't change the fat, right? We're not measuring. So a lot of times we'll tell patients, just do an in-body analysis, do caloric restriction diet, see what happens. Yes, they lost weight, and most doctors that don't look at functional medicine and don't actually look at the overall health of the patient, and they just look at it as weight as a number and not actually find out what's the composition of that number. What does that actual number mean? Because I have patients that they look at them, their BMI is 23, 22. The doctor's like, great, you're under 25, you're healthy, you're normal. Then we put them on a bioimpedance analyzer, such as the InBody, and they're 40% body fat. So they're those skinny fat people, right? So they have a lot of fat in their body, not a lot of lean body mass. So they lose weight. A lot of times they're just losing water weight. So a lot of times people will say, oh, the initial part, the first week, the first month, oh, it's just water weight that you're losing. No. We want to retain water. Water is good for our body. Our body should be at least 50% water. Most of the patients that I deal with are only about 40 to 30% water. There's not enough water. And so we want to make sure that that water weight is higher. It should be 50 to 70%. 70% is really good in water weight, okay? So true detoxification, though, you're going to decrease all those little dots that are there in the pictures we've decreased the amount of fat toxins that are being stored, right? And so that's the most important thing, and being able to maintain that by decreasing the exposure to those toxins. If we're exposed to them, using products that will help with to further detoxify our body, okay? Because what happens with the people that are eating and they're not detoxifying, they stop eating this healthy diet, all of a sudden it goes back, that's the bottom arrow, and it's the rebound effect. They just get bigger again, okay? So herbicides, toxins, stuff like that, if you don't decrease that from your body, you're never gonna get help. Now, I just said that about insecticides and stuff, but there's different things to look at, right? And we'll talk about that in a minute. But when you start looking at the overall toxins, it's not just herbicides, it's relationships. Stressful relationships are going to cause a lot of issues and increase toxins in your body, okay? Use of over-the-counter products, use of medications. Some medications are not very good for you. The other thing too will be use of cosmetics, right? So women that like to use makeup, some of the makeup as well is going to cause some of the issues. So those are things that we want to make sure that we're reducing and taking away from us to decrease those toxins. We have questions?
Yeah, we got two questions.
Okay.
One is, how much water should you drink in a day?
How much water should you drink in a day? I would say drink as much water as you can. And for me, I drink a lot of water. I mean, I haven't been drinking anything here because I'm trying to just talk because we have 2 hours now. I'm good for right now. But I do drink a lot of water. Honestly, I would say 20 ounces of water. I drink probably about 10 bottles a day. I know there's different formulas out there. They'll say whatever your body weight is, divide that by 2, then that's the amount of ounces you need, or multiply that by 100. So many things. I just say drink water as much as you can. Try not to drink black teas. The other thing about black tea, yes, occasionally just while you're having some food, but when you're not eating, drink your water. Drink your water before you eat to get the organs, everything firing up. Don't drink the tea. What happens with tea is, and you eat something, the tea is actually going to bind to a lot of the nutrients that you're going to get from the food, the black teas, right? So it actually depletes the nutrients because your body's not able to absorb the nutrients that you need. So drink water, water, water. Plus the other good thing, by drinking water instead of tea, you're going to decrease your bill by like $3. And if you have a family of 6, that's $18 that you're going to save just by switching to water instead of drinks. The restaurants don't like that, but hey, health is more important than that, okay?
And the second question, I'm going to assume you're going to get into, but it was, is there a safe way to do detoxification?
Yes. I'll talk about it very quickly. I know we're coming close towards the end, but we will talk about a thing that I like to use to detoxify. There's different things that you can use because you can do it with food. Again, the green leafy vegetables. But a lot of times you need to be consuming a lot of those things to get the benefits, you know, especially if you want to get like for the metabolization of estrogens, you know, you need that DIM and indole 3-carbinol. You need to have 12 servings of broccoli to get that benefit. I love my broccoli, but I'm not eating 12 servings of broccoli, I'll tell you that, okay? So it's just different things. But I'll talk about a system that I like to use that we carry at Muñiz Pharmacy. We also carry it at Crave Market. That I like to use with my patients. And I think RGV Hometown Pharmacy in Harlingen may also have that as well. But you know, those are things that I really like to use with my patients 100% of the time. I've tried many different systems. There's different things out there. There's a lot of them that work, but the most bang for your buck that you're going to get the best benefit, it will be the Core Restore. Okay. Detoxification and biotransformation pathway. So again, the first little column is toxins, things that we're exposed to. Metabolic end products, microorganisms, contaminants, pollutants, insecticides, pesticides, food additives, drugs, alcohols. That's all our toxins. Then our body goes to phase 1 detoxification. The nutrients that you need for phase 1 are going to be your B vitamins, folate, fat-soluble vitamins A, D, vitamin C, vitamin E. Milk thistle is a good thing to clean out your liver. There's an extract of milk thistle that's actually the thing that gives it the benefit. That's actually the best thing to use, which is called silymarin. So that's one thing that I would use. Calcium and glutathione. Glutathione is going to be produced with N-acetylcysteine. And glutathione actually helps with powering and cleaning out toxins from the mitochondria. So then you make these intermediate metabolites between phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 2 nutrients, this is where a lot of people are deficient. And it's amino acids, glycine, taurine, glutamine, cysteine, sulfur-based compounds as well, which you're going to find in your broccolis, even like sprouted broccolis and stuff like that. You're going to find a lot of that. A lot of people are deficient in phase 2. We have a lot of phase 1, but no phase 2. So when we don't have phase 2, we're not eliminating it, so it just gets stored in our body as fat. Okay? So with the system that I like to use, it does a lot of phase 2 detoxification first, and then we start hitting phase 1 again. So think of it like this is, you have different containers, right? You have a lot of toxins, then you have a lot of phase 1 things that happen here that we can do. A lot of it gets full, but then from here to here, the toilet is plugged, right? It's not moving across. It's not going over here. So what we're going to do first is we're going to work on getting this toilet unclogged to push things through. Then it's going to start coming down, start coming through, and everything's going to be going all over. So it's great things to do to actually help with that phase 2 detoxification, all right? Waste, your gallbladder, bile ducts. A lot of patients that I deal with and work with don't have gallbladders anymore. They've had them removed. And so a lot of times their detoxification pathway is not perfect. So trying to make sure that we're getting all the nutrients that they need to help them detoxify their body is important, okay? Then do you have good urine? So good kidney function, drink that water. It's very, very important. Now, another thing that we do talk about, and we talked about some of the toxins, is bottled water, right? So my bottled water here, I am guilty of. This one right here is not what we should be drinking, okay? Because then it's a plastic container. Plastic containers, when they're exposed to the sun, you have these BPAs, your body's exposed to that, it causes issues, more toxins. So try and find some waters that say made in a BPA-free container. Those are the better ones to have. Those waters are going to cost a little bit more because BPA-free containers cost more to make, I guess, because these other ones are just so cheap. All right, so that will be something to look at. Now, we're talking about, because the next slide is just my contact information. I got a pretty cool QR code, so if you have a smartphone, especially like an iPhone, pick it up into the picture mode, and it will actually load up my email as a contact into your phone. I'll show that in a minute, but let me finish talking here about some of the toxins. So some of the toxins, such as makeup, you're exposing your body to all these different types of toxins. You're also going to get what again? Okay, the video. Okay. Oh yeah, I did. Searching for devices. Still searching.
That's the internet connection.
Oh, really? Like it's going down?
And it turns off and then.
But are we still...
We're still streaming.
We're still streaming? Okay. So I'll just continue talking until we can get the video back up and running. And so when we start looking at different types of toxins in our body, we have so many different things. And, a lot of times people too will tell me, well, genetically, I am going to become diabetic because my mom was diabetic. Yes, there are some genetic components to that. But the other thing too that we want to look at is that it's not just genetically, it's environmental. Okay? The reason being is that, yeah, you may end up being diabetic because your mom's diabetic, but it's because you're eating the same stuff that your mom was eating, right? So those are things that we want to make sure that we are constantly looking at and seeing that we're able to prevent and change our environment. So we've actually seen patients of mine that they start changing the whole family, the way they eat, and they start doing amazing because we've changed the environment, right? If we change the environment that we're in, we're able to improve our health. And I know that is one of the hardest things to do. It's even hard to do with my kids as well, is to get them to start eating healthier. And for me, it was that eye-opening experience, being able to learn everything that I did within functional medicine, to be able to say, you know what, I need to make this change. For my patients, to be able to be a good example of what proper health should be. And I'm glad I did this. And I'm glad I was able to improve my immune system my exercising, endurance, everything is much better. My health is much better, and I will continue to just leave aside. It's more of a lifestyle change. It's not a diet, and it's easier to do when you look at it as just a lifestyle change, right? So decreasing all the environmental issues, removing all of the toxins from your body, it's very, very important to look at. All right, the last thing was just going to be my questions, if anybody had. Try again. All right, let me try one more time. It still says searching for devices. I don't know if you have to put that code back in, maybe. Here. Yeah. There you go. You can take the laptop. I don't need it anymore. But if you have any questions on different types of things for nutrition, we can look at. I'll go over some products here because I believe we still have live video, right? So, okay. So one thing that we're talking about, ORAC scales, right? A lot of times we want to make sure we're getting high amounts of antioxidants and remove in our body to remove a lot of the oxidation. So one thing that I like to use is a thing called Power Greens from Numedica. This is an espresso flavor. A lot of times what I'll do is I will put a scoop of this with some chia seeds and some almond milk, put it in the fridge, making like an overnight oat, and this thing tastes amazing, okay? Numedica, Numedica. When we pull up my contact information, if they want to, they can actually email me because my email's on there, which is michael@cravemarket.com or m.muñiz@muñizpharmacy.com, and I get both of those into an email. And so you can email me. I can send you to the link to the product, and that way you can order it from there. So Numedica, very good antioxidant. It has about 25 servings of fruits and veggies inside there. And so it's a huge, nice blend. There's some other stuff out there. I know I've taken, for people that don't like to eat a lot, even though I really, really, really push to eat the fruits and veggies, there's another product out there, Juice Plus, which they've just removed a lot of the water from there, but you still get a lot of the nutrients from there. Now, the Core Restore product is this thing right here. There's two different flavors. There's vanilla and chocolate. And Core Restore talks about, and it's really built for revitalizing your body. There's a nice book inside there that actually talks about the phases of detoxification in your body. Tells you before you start, people that should consult with a medical professional, and this should be done in consult with a medical professional. All right. Talks about the foods that will increase detoxification. Talks about foods that will decrease detoxification. There's even inside how to actually do the whole program. Then there's actual meal list and a food plan of foods that you should be consuming while you're on this. Now, this is not a ketogenic diet. This is not a vegan diet. This isn't a carnivore diet. This thing is just overall to help heal your body by improving your liver function to get rid of toxins. Okay. So there's some shakes inside there. And inside the shake, you're getting, it's a rice pea blend protein. It's got psyllium husk, which is for your fiber, some glycine. It's got vegetables, this is a high ORAC scale, it's 2,500. It's got broccoli, Brussels sprout, broccoli sprouts, onions, tomato, broccoli, carrots, spinach, kale, Brussels sprouts, L-glutamine, N-acetylcysteine, alpha-lipoic acid, green tea extract, and a couple other things too. So this is a good little product. This is your shake. You do two scoops in the morning, 2 scoops at night. I tell patients, don't use this until the very end of the day, all right? Or very morning, like late as you can. So let's just say I don't get hungry till 11 o'clock at noon, then that's when you're gonna take that. You can drink it with water. I like to drink it with almond milk. Unsweetened vanilla almond milk. The reason I like to use that is because the almond milk will keep me satiated longer, so fuller longer compared to water. And it's a lot thicker too, so more like a shake than just a watered down drink. Then you're gonna get some alpha-based capsules. The alpha-based capsules are pretty much like a multivitamin. So one of the things that I recommend to my patients, whether you're the healthiest or the sickest, we talk about supplements, it's pretty much what's inside this Core Restore. The only thing the Core Restore is gonna be missing is your omega-3s. Which I would say is another important thing to take, but it's got vitamin D, it's got some magnesium, B vitamins, vitamin C inside there. The thing we're just missing is that omega-3. Now, on day 3 is when you start taking this last product, and this last product right here is called PhytoCore. So pretty much the PhytoCore, what it does, it actually has things in there that are lipotropic. So they actually help your body break up fat, so that way this fat gets broken up and gets sent to the liver to get excreted. So there's also things, certain clinics will use MIC injections, which is just methionine and inositol and choline. That's why it's called MIC, which are lipotropic to help break up fats. So people that do some of these weight loss clinics, they'll use those injections to actually help your body break them down. Injections are very good, but this thing works very, very well with my patients that I've done this with as well. Okay? So this is one thing to look at. It's called a Core Restore. You can find it out online. And most of the time you need to work with a healthcare professional that will give you access to it.
We have some questions.
Okay?
Intermittent fasting?
Yes.
Fasting in general.
Intermittent fasting is amazing. I would tell you that I'm a big proponent of intermittent fasting. I would say minimum 16 hours of fasting, 8 hours of consuming. So it's just an 8-hour window. For those people that don't know about intermittent fasting and they say, I can't fast for that long, think about it. If you sleep for 8 hours like you're supposed to, right? So that's 8 hours of those 16. So now you're left with 8 hours left. So stop eating 4 hours before you go to sleep and don't eat for 4 hours after you wake up. And you're able to get to those 16 hours of fasting. There's also some apps online on the phones. One that my daughter uses, I think it's called Zero. And you put it on there and it just starts counting how long of a fast you want to do. And it just counts and counts and counts and it tells you where you're at. When you finally eat, you put it on there. There's different types of people out there. They'll say, well, if you drink water, you're fine. It's a water fast, right? Some of the issues is prolonging fasting too much and you're not taking electrolytes. Now you can actually have some issues. So it's important to make sure that you are getting electrolytes. So there's some people that I do know that will do extended fast, but they'll be consuming broths, chicken broths, beef broths. And that's okay because you're getting the sodium, different types of electrolytes inside there that are going to be very beneficial to you. I know when you start looking at fasting as well, one of the guys that won one of the Nobel Prizes talks about autophagy, right? And so autophagy is actually when your body eats itself. And so your body, when it's going to eat itself, it doesn't eat the healthy cells. It's going to eat the bad cells first. And so you're actually able to decrease a lot of inflammatory responses in your body by doing that. And so they've actually shown that you actually get the most fat burning and even autophagy going on. Well, autophagy really after a couple of days, at least after 18 hours, you get the most fat burning. So a lot of my patients, I tell them we will eventually turn into intermittent fasting because it's hard initially to get into it. But once you do it, like I can go eat 1 hour, 1 meal a day, which is OMAD. That's another type of diet that's out there, OMAD. So 1 meal a day, and it's a type of intermittent fasting. And so it's great. It allows your body to reset itself, Again, the things that we're putting in is going to dictate what performance we're getting out of our body. So I do know some people that say, well, intermittent fasting, if I have a bulletproof coffee, which bulletproof is trademarked out there, Dave Asprey, but bulletproof or just a fat coffee is they'll put coffee with some ghee and some MCT oil. So you're getting high fats in there and they consume that. Even though most people would say, well, it's calories in, you're getting those fat. That's not really intermittent fasting. But to some people, it's still considered intermittent fasting because you haven't had a solid meal, right? Where everything else is being turned on in your body because those fats, all they're doing is just converting to ketone bodies in your body to be able to continue energy production. That's another talk that we can go into about ketosis and ketone bodies. We just don't have time to really talk about that, but we can talk about how foods will actually work with all that in a ketogenic type diet. But yes, intermittent fasting, I am a huge proponent of it. If you can do it, and you will see the benefits. Just do not do intermittent fasting and go eat a pizza right after. That is not going to work. Okay.
Does fasting spike blood sugar?
Spiking blood. So if it does, because it can, it's not supposed to. You shouldn't be seeing that. If you are seeing any kind of spike in blood sugars when you're fasting, there's probably, if you're injecting insulin, you're going to see that because what's going to happen is your body's going to go through gluconeogenesis by breaking up muscle in your body to produce sugar to combat that insulin. So if you're taking even sulfonylurea, some of those medications like glipizide, glyburide can also cause problems like that too. So that's going to be the biggest time that you're going to see that response, or even if you see any kind of stress response, right? So people that have adrenal insufficiency, problems with their adrenal glands, producing too much cortisol or not enough cortisol, you're going to see problems because cortisol will increase sugar, right? So even patients that take anti-inflammatories such as like prednisone or methylprednisolone, which is a steroid pack, metrodose pack, you'll see that when they take it, they'll get that spike in blood sugar. So yes, it can cause it, but just knowing that more than likely with most patients, if you don't have insulin resistance, you have good insulin sensitivity, you won't see that problem.
Are hydrocolonics good?
Hydrocolonics. So I've known a couple of people that have done it, and I've also read a lot of things that they are not very good because it will remove a lot of nutrients from your body as well. So I know in some of my training, there's a different avenue that you can actually go through to do it. But a lot of the solutions that they're using actually have a lot of replacements, mineral replacements, where a lot of the other stuff that's out there, you're not going to actually see it. So work with somebody that has actually done the training and actually has been doing that for a while if you're going to consider doing it. That it?
That all the questions? Did I miss any?
I went ahead and added your contact information.
Okay. Manually? Okay. With the QR code too? Or no? No. Okay.
You
That's
had
fine.
a website on the QR code?
No, the QR code didn't have it. Just my email and my name. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's on there? Okay, so my emails are on there. Michael@cravemarket.com or m.muñiz@muñizpharmacy.com. Those two should be on there. You can call us at the pharmacy, 956-423-1753. 956-423-1753. Or by email. Honestly, email is going to be the best way. We get so many calls for patients that are on medications, and then right now, because of this whole COVID thing, we're getting a lot of different calls. The inside of our lobby is closed at the pharmacy for protection of all our patients. So we use the drive-through. So the best way to get a hold of me, even on the weekends, is through the email. And then from there, if you want to set up a consultation for yourself, your general health, I have an online scheduler that I can actually send you the link for. So if you have any questions, you want to get in contact with me, I can do pretty much patients all over the state of Texas. Since I am licensed in the state as a healthcare practitioner, I can take care of all those patients. So please reach out if you want more information. I know with H.O.P.E, we will be doing another one of these things hopefully soon. Hopefully all this has blown over and we can talk about what we learned from COVID-19, and we can show you some of the different types of fruits and veggies that are being produced here locally for everybody in Cameron County to be able to get. Thank you all very much, and that's it.
Thank you. There's a lot of thank yous for.
I think so. Awesome.
You want to say goodbye?
So I hope this was really interesting and filled up a few of your hours with your family. But I want to remind you that we are open. We are one of those exceptions because we are a certified farmers market. And we're open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Monday. We do have a supply of vegetables, and we have moringa. And if you have any questions, you can also send it to our email, which is H.O.P.E for Small Farm Sustainability is H.O.P.E FORSFS@yahoo.com. I thank you for participating, and please follow us because we're going to be doing a lot more of these live streams. Thank you.